All right, now we are live with our little duck in the corner. Let's make sure that. All right, cool. Go ahead and start doing our stuff. Do. Do. What's going on? How's the channel doing? Sorry, I was working on some stuff. I hadn't really been looking lately. Been busy. I've got to. Let's see. Let's do this. You hit 200. Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. No, I have not done a video on that, but I think that would be really cool. Next time I'm gonna make a note. Good suggestion. What's going on? How's y'all Sunday been? Y'all had a good weekend? Let's see. There we go. Made a note of the governor's thing. That's a really good idea. Let's see. So, uh, 200. Yeah, you're right. You are right at 200. Like, that's awesome. Like, the first couple of hundred are the hardest to get, I got to tell you. Yeah, my weekend's been pretty decent so far, I guess. Hello. It's been a nice weekend. We finally got through April. We've had a really busy April between baseball and birthdays, and it's been a lot. So yeah, I'm glad to be on the other side of it. We've had a lot going on. See, thank you. I really appreciate that. Hello. I knew it. It always takes a little bit for everybody to get here. So I'm glad you hit that 200 though. That's awesome. Like I'm telling you, just you got to keep it. It'll happen when it's supposed to. Like I make sure in the description, like you and there's a couple other people that I put in there. Hi, Shannon. What's going on, North Carolina? Josh, I hope you're doing good. So yeah, I hope y'all are excited for the video tomorrow. I haven't seen many people do Peter Mayhew, so I thought that would be a pretty good one to do. Thirsty. Been outside practicing, I like baseball. I hope everybody's had a good month. I just like watching you guys talk in the chat. Like that's really cool how you guys are. I'm glad you like the work. I appreciate that. I really do. In Massachusetts, that's really nice. I'm glad it was a quiet weekend. There's nothing as nice as a good quiet weekend. So when you dig it or did you like dig it? Which way, you know? Do you have to get in there and still shovel those things sometimes? Okay. Yeah, see, that's a good one. Like I may save her for Black History Month, like next year. I'm trying to already start doing that as far as compiling a list of stuff. There's one lady in Georgia I want to go see. Like I've already got two or three, but I need, like I try to do two a week during that time. The drive back from Texas, okay. So living around Birmingham, I drive to Shreveport the first night. We I say we because you guys were a part of this. Um, I get to Shreveport. There's the tornado warning. It's like 10 miles. Like I'm looking out. I stay at a casino because it's cheap. And I'm looking out from the 10th floor or whatever. And you can see transformers. And it's just everything is just breaking loose. And I can't see like the tornado, but I know it's, that way out the window. Like I've got a prime seat for it, and then I'm watching the news, and the news is live. It's after midnight. I've been, drove 10 hours. Like, I just want to go to bed, but a school gets hit, and I'm, in people's homes, and there's like a tree through a house, and they're pulling people out live on TV. It was pretty gnarly to watch. And then we drive to Dallas. It was very uneventful. I mean, it was just what the video was. And I get through filming in Dallas, and I'm like, gosh, I really don't want to stay in Shreveport, and so I just drove home. I did 1,000 miles that day. Like my butt was tired, literally. Like it was tired of sitting. It was like over 12 hours or something, 14 hours, I think, as far as the whole day worth of driving. It was a whole lot of driving. The road is, I mean, it's a from like once you hit Vicksburg to Dallas, I mean, it feels like a straight line. Like there's a few up and downs, but for the most part, that thing just runs straight. And Dallas, like I said in the video, it feels like I mean, I've been to Atlanta and Nashville and, larger cities, but Dallas just seemed on a different level. Like even over Atlanta, like it just seemed different. Like Atlanta's its own crazy problem, but Dallas, they were doing road work, which they've probably been doing road work forever. But with that, it was oh my gosh, it was a lot. It's really not that bad. I know people are all spooked about the graveyards, but I promise you, like when I'm in the videos, like it is it's resting. It is really quiet. And normally I'm the one guy that's out there, talking. So if somebody's out there visiting a loved one, I'm the one making the noise because there ain't nothing else happening. Yeah, as far as I've looked at quite a few of those, and I want to go do the museums in Montgomery next year. Like, I hope that by then the channel's grown enough where I can send an email and say, hey, I'd like to come show this off because they don't really like you filming anything in that kind of museum. They don't even want you taking pictures. There's one of them, I forget which one it is, but they don't even want you to bring your phone out. No, but this summer I'm coming that way, hopefully. Like I think in May, I may head up towards Kentucky somewhere. And um I really want to get over to North Carolina and try to work up the East Coast. That's just one of those I put it out in the ether and we'll see what happens. The cemetery is gorgeous where they were buried. I mean, it was a very, very nice cemetery. Like the section that you saw, you can tell that was the the best part of that cemetery. The rest of it was just your normal run of the mill type of cemetery, but that was the better part. Hey, I'm all about it. Just send me an email, just fire it away. I love suggestions because that way I know you guys, that's what y'all like to watch. So I'm all about that. I mean, I have my thoughts, but it's like you guys are the ones that make the channel. So, hey, I'm game. Like I really in the first video or in the second, I think in the Dallas one I referenced like I drove to Meridian to do the one grave from the one viewer, and I was like, well, I've already done Meridian, we've already done Vicksburg, and then I was like, well, let's just keep going, and I ended up looking all the way to Dallas, and there we go. Kinda. I guess that's about as honest as I can be. I should. You're right. I should write that. I have a list, like you can kind of see right back there, a dry erase board with a bunch of junk on it. And as I do it, they get moved off the list. And that way, I kind of, right now, I haven't done as many. Like I'm around 70, 80 videos, somewhere in there, but I can kind of still remember it's only been about a year. I had like as of May the 10th ish. I forget what my first upload day was, but it's like a year this week or next week that the channel's even existed. So I'm still within, like if we'd been 10 years into this, then yeah, I got to have a piece of paper for that. There's no way I'm going to remember. Like I can barely remember what I did this morning. Well, and two, one thing you don't really see, like I was noticing this today, it was Patsy Cline. Like that's one of those like we had talked early on about. Um, oh, what's his name? God, see, I told you I can't remember nothing. Um, he's anyway. There, as far as like graves that kind of like everybody does, like I feel like that's one of those graves, that gets a lot of like all YouTubers. It's almost like a rite of passage, like you kind of go do it. But nobody really puts it together. Like as far as like they don't go where the plane took off and they don't go to the crash and then they don't. It just seems like I don't know. Like I guess that's work, and for them it's just easier to just go do a thing. So I'm gonna try to start incorporating some of that into it. So then I'm gonna have to make notes because I'll be like, okay, so I did go to the crash site and I did do this, and so yeah, you're right. I'm gonna have to start doing that because there's quite a few. Like the day the music died, right? You see, everybody goes to like the venue. Everybody goes to the crash site, but they don't ever put it together as far as the venue. The plane took off from this airport. It crashed in this field, and like here's the Big Bopper, and like it doesn't get put into one video. And I don't know if that's because they want to stretch it out and get more content, but it just seems like a better video if you could do it that way, which is what I'm going to try to do if I ever, if I do that, then that's the way or like Bonnie and Clyde. Like, yeah, on the way to Texas, there's so many like Bonnie and Clyde little, hit pieces along the way of, the chaos that they caused. But I don't really want to just do like, oh, well, here's the jail she was in, or this is where they got shot and all that stuff. It would be fun to be like, okay, you start 1930, whatever, or whenever this happened, and you kind of go through the whole chaos of the whole event and then publish it. But it doesn't seem like if people do it, I haven't seen it. YouTube's a big world. I think that would be the best way to do it. Seems like a better structural way. And if you have to make a two-parter, then you make a two-parter. I'm sure there's tons of stuff like that you could do. I use my old GoPro. It's 2015, 16, 7. It's the one that was just a GoPro. I think the 5 or the 6 had come out, and then they put out just a regular, nothing fancy, right? Just a standard 1080p GoPro. But what they didn't do all they did was just change the software on the GoPro. So you can take that GoPro and find some bootleg software on the internet. Thank God for the internet. You put it on the SD card, stick it in the GoPro, and it upgrades it to the good GoPro because it's the same thing. They just changed the software. So I have two 4K GoPros now. Yeah, the picture in picture, that's like one of those first, I've, kind of fooled around with it. I ordered some more, like a better microphone and stuff to do that with, because I think I'm gonna try to do another trip or so soon like that. And I noticed editing that you can hear the, I can only do what I can do, right? Pascagoula, what's up? It's good country over there. I've really grown fond of Mississippi. I never thought I would, but that place is great. I love Mississippi. Like, it's not that busy. It kind of feels like home in a weird way. It seems a lot like where I live. Unless you get way far south, then I mean it's more swamp or whatever. The editing, as far as the two GoPro things, now that was a little tricky because I'd never done that, but overall it wasn't terrible. And in the first one, I actually used the drone that I bought finally. I'm still, it's weird in the cemetery. I've got it out a few times and flew it, and people around aren't really fond of it. You've got this loud little drone just buzzing around the place, and I didn't really like it. One of the videos, I went and did a video this week. It'll be out next week. Um, the grave, I'll go ahead and tip the hat. It's the bodyguard for George Washington. He's buried here in Alabama. And the email is in the info, in the little info thing. And yeah, I was able to fly it there because it was just me. Like, we were the only people out in the middle of nowhere at this place. Yeah, the email's in the info. Just shoot me just send it to me. I've got this software too because I've got the, and maybe maybe right? But the cheaper GoPro, the $400, the cheaper, right? Um, was it doesn't come with like the follow me. You know how you could like set it up and it just works with you. The There's a side app that I've downloaded, and I'm gonna see if it works because it kind of it takes over and lets you use that software because GoPro DJI doesn't give you that just out of the box. If you want that, you got to buy the more expensive one, of course. Yeah, Hollywood Graveyard does good stuff. Thank you. $4. That's awesome. You might hear my kids, by the way. It really is. Okay. So the stone cleaning stuff, like there's a lot when I go, especially where I just went to do the grave, the bodyguard of George Washington. There's a lot of those that are dirty, and it's sad too how they just wear, just you can't help it. It's just years of weather, which makes them look unique and they look really cool. But it's a bummer when you can't really read it, and it's just hard because that was a life, and it's hard to know who it is. And then on top of it, you just run across the stones. That's all they had was just they could put a rock, and that's as big of a bummer as anything, because then you don't even know who it was. But the cleaning, that's a whole different level. Like that's really good dedication. Like, if the family could thank you, they would. Lamont's awesome. I just they're like at a different level, right? Like, I would there's a few people that I've reached out to, and um nobody's like said like, "Hey, yeah, let's do something together." Yeah, the mini two is what I have. And um It wasn't even them. It was just other people, more local people that I know. And yeah, it's one of those that just seems like you think everybody's like, "Oh, we're in this creator world and we work together," but it's from what I've seen so far, it doesn't seem that way. Or maybe I've reached out to the wrong people. That's probably the case. Because there's more than just the grave stuff. Like I always say, the channel is backroads. It's like I have all these ideas of stuff I think it would be cool, like show up and work on a farm for a day. Like, why not? Right? Like, God only knows what they do because I sure don't know. Like, I kind of have an idea, but just random things. Like, almost turn it into something other than just the graves. Like, go even bigger. Like, we can all, like as a group of us, like here commenting, like we could, once you start letting your thoughts run wild, you're like, oh well, I could do this, and you can do that, and do this, and it's really like you like we could make it whatever we want, and that's the cool thing because it's like our channel, right? Yeah, the drone thing, you can see the whole area, but I'm trying to figure out how to work it in because I don't really approach it like they do. Like I everybody has a different way of filming, and so I'm kind of trying to model or like move the way I film to work more with the drone, and it's like I'm having to relearn how to like do the channel, like the way I present. I'm having to change it. I'm having to modify, and like if I would have started out with a drone, it would have probably looked totally different and everything else. But now I got to figure out a way to put the drone in it. Yeah, I guess once you do clean the stone, like you can see the darker grooves and everything. Because the one thing I don't want, as far as here, I'll click on this, like the different things, right? Like the one thing I don't want is I don't want us to get stale. Like as far as like, yeah, there's plenty of like cool celebrity graves and random little roadside things too, but there's more than that. And it's like I don't want people to be like, oh, well, that's what like I've always said I don't want to get shoehorned into like cornered into oh well that's what you are. You're the graveyard guy. Like that's my biggest fear because I feel like at a point, like, and it's not now, I mean, it could be years from now. Like, I don't want to get burnt out. I don't want the viewers to be like, oh, well, here's another one of those things. Like, I always want to keep it fresh and interesting, something like that. Because, like, the forgotten are fun, like you said, Faces of the Forgotten. He's another one of those, like, different levels, right? Like, that's a different level. He does come down here often. Like, I watched one of his a couple of months ago where he was down. He did, some guy was buried in a bed. I thought that was a very interesting. I think it suggested that because I published the buried in a rocking chair thing. Sometimes I've noticed that. Like whatever video I publish, it thinks that I want to watch something surround, the algorithm is what it is. It's only as smart as YouTube wants it to be. Because it would be fun, like going on, like I can get on this whole tangent of the channel. Um, it would be fun to turn it into some kind of like dirty jobs, right? Like not just something random like the farm thing. Like I go in there and like they show me how to do farming, and you got my big butt out there sweating, trying to figure out how to change and do, and like you kind of learn a little bit about because it is back roads, right? That's the whole thing. Like we don't really know what's going on back there. Whether it's I say farming, that's just because the first thing I think of. But um and then like plants or just random things, right? Like I don't want it to be all one thing. I just want to going forward in the future, I do want to change it a little bit. I've saw Wit Docs, now that you like I haven't looked at I just know he exists. Like I know I saw his stuff. I haven't really I think he's out of Georgia, I think. I don't know. He seems like he's from around here anyway. And he seems like he's all right. So the so are they? Um, I would assume they're Irish from the because I don't know who they are. You might have to fill me in on Irish eyes. I think maybe she's commented on here. God, I can't remember. See, I do need. He's Kentucky. That's where it's at. Um, I do need to write this stuff down, don't I? I knew he was from the South, but Kentucky. I have this thing with Kentucky. They're not. They're Southern, but they're not really Southern, right? We let them in, kind of as like a. We'll let you in. I had to get on here tonight, though. I got to keep at least once a week. I'm trying to keep just doing, like interacting with y'all, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Well, I bet they do, especially if they're, across the pond over there. The world was way old before it got over here, wasn't it? Okay, so this is a thing, right? Okay. I've wondered that myself because, like, for instance, recently, like with Bob Saget, like when he died, and there's been a couple, I was thinking like, was it? I mean, it seemed like they put him in the dirt, and then like a day later, like a video came out, and I was just like, that just seems. I don't really like that. Like, I don't. I mean, not a day anyway. Thank you. I bet they are. Like, it'd be cool to take the channel over there, like eventually. Like that's some of that, future stuff. Like, I guess maybe once the world finally decides to get back to normal, and I don't know. Plus, that's a long way to travel. I complained about traveling to Dallas, so I don't need to think about going over there anytime soon. Plus, I feel like that's kind of their territory. Like, I don't really want to impose, you know, that's kind of their thing. Like, it would be neat to go do that stuff, but that's really, you know, I feel like I'm taking away from them. I have that thing too, where like I had an idea to do a video next week, and I started doing some research, and in like the search suggestions I saw where somebody had covered that. I was like, well, I don't really want to take away from that because it looked like the video was doing well. So it's like, well, I don't want to take away from them. Yeah, see, yeah, once you let your like, what could you do? Start going. That would be cool. Or any kind of like, see, like it's really endless. And now you see what I'm faced with. Like it's a good problem, but it's a problem nonetheless. Of like, well, like okay, well, I could go do this, but I don't really want to. I want to do something else. And it's like, but they might. You get faced with this give or take, right? Like most people are going to enjoy it, but okay. So here's my issue with this. To me, that's lazy, right? So I'm going to tell you to go do the work and send it to me. And then I'm going to put the video up and I'm going to get the money off of it. I don't like that. To me, that's not cool. Like, if you're going to go through the trouble of filming it, you put it up there and then you have your YouTube channel. That's the way I see it. Like, I'm not going to ask a viewer to go do work to send in content to then me put the video together, which, I mean, it's, you got, that's a little work, right? I'm not going to say it's not, but then, you know, then he gets the money. It's like, well, then what, the viewer gets the pleasure of being on screen. It's like, well, go do your own thing. No, I'm okay. So there's Battle of Franklin, the cemetery. Sorry, that was just my, like, I do want, like, I've just had a thing about that. I had to get it off my chest. Um, like Shiloh, Battle of Corinth. Like, I still have so many Civil War things I've got to get to, which is, it's up on that board back there. Um, yeah, so it's, I always say in these videos, like, time. Like, yeah, I mean, I could go. Like, you go every day, and you could film and do like daily stuff and all that. But it's like, you got to have a little bit of a life, because, like, I really don't want to. I don't really want to get burnt out, and I don't want to make content that's. I don't know. Sometimes you can watch a video from a creator, and you can tell they phoned it in. Like, you can see it. Like, I hope, like, I try not to put that out, but I feel like sometimes you can tell that they phoned it in. Hey, being late's okay. Oh yeah, Horseshoe Bend, definitely. I've got a whole thing of War on 1812 I'm working on, or the southern part of War of 1812. Not necessarily like the Battle of New Orleans, but more the Red Sticks and the Andrew Jackson campaign part, because there was some, there was like, when they signed over their land. Hello, Joe. When they signed over their land, they they gave, I forget how much it was, but anyway, it was like 3/4 of the state of Alabama that they signed over once they got moved to the reservation. So it was a big deal. Welcome to the channel. See, the first step to doing it is doing it. And then you kind of, like, you film one, and if you don't like it, then you don't have to do it. Like, there's been quite a few that I've done that I just haven't published, because I started putting it together and I was like, this sucks. And then I would just go back and do it. Even if I have to drive, like, I had to drive back to Nashville from Birmingham to redo it, because I just didn't like it. And I was like, well, I ain't putting that up there. Yeah, you remember? Okay, so the ghost thing at Gettysburg. Do you remember have you saw the old circulate, where the ghosts or the soldiers are walking up in the woods and stuff? Those are all kind of, um, those are all fun. About a year. Well, hey, the channel is a year next weekish, somewhere around in there. So yeah, like, it's crazy that people like what I do. I still am trying to, like, find a weird place with that. Haunted places, it just depends on the level of haunt, if that makes any sense. People that are into that kind of might understand that. Like, the random footsteps and stuff slamming and closing are one thing, but that poltergeist stuff, I don't want no part of that. Like, I don't, like, we had a haunted house growing up. Like, I lived in a haunted house. I guess maybe that's what turned me on to this. My dad, we did the whole, spirit box stuff growing up and all that, but we had um a old country store that was converted into a house. And so every night, regardless if the toilet seat was up or the toilet seat was down, it would go up and slam between 2 and 3 in the morning, that witching hour, right? And it was regardless. Like, we would leave it up or leave it, and it would slam. And yeah, so the toilet seat would slam. Sorry if I froze. I mean, I'm on like the Wi-Fi is like right there. Um, yeah, so we would come home sometimes, and all the kitchen cabinets would be open. Like just little things. You would see things darker than dark. Walk through the house. Oh yeah, no boards, no Ouija boards, no none of that. Yeah, I ain't playing that. But yeah, it wasn't terrible. I mean, like they never did anything. It was just like I know we didn't open those cabinets. Like I still don't even know if ghosts are real, but I do know I'm pretty confident that there's something up. But the cabinets, we didn't open the cabinets. We didn't do the toilet seat every night, and people would whisper your names. That was the weird one. Like I'm laying in bed, I'm asleep, and you just hear Jason, and there's nobody in there, you know, and it's clear as day, like you hear it. And if people that haven't had those experiences, it's easy to be like, oh, yeah, whatever. But no, like it's legit. Like there's something. I don't know what, but there's something. I think we're more special than what people say we are. Like we're a lot, more important, I think. Oh, I bet the prisons are haunted. Well, I mean, you see a lot of these ghost shows and stuff. That's like the bread and butter, right? You can either go to hospitals or prisons or those, some type of, large confined people. I was wanting to do more. Speaking of, like dead people, the yellow fever of 1890 something, 89, 90, somewhere in there. The lady that was showing me the martyr graves of the nuns and all of that stuff from when I went up and did the grave that had the little window thing on it. There up the Mississippi. There's a big deal about that because it started in New Orleans and it worked its way up to Memphis and even further. Yeah, like the shadow stuff. Like there's something, right? Like you can't explain it, but it's a thing, and you want your mind to go, "Oh, well, it's from a light and it's a reflection." And a lot, like 99% of the time, you can come up with like a logical excuse, but there's always that weird 1%. And I want to do the Bell Witch because at least it's close, right? Like it's within that like my 3 hour radius I like to do, and because I think that's very interesting, whether it's real or not. Like it, I mean, it was a heck of a story to go with the whole, the way she was attacked and the whole family, and it's a very interesting story. My problem is I don't know if it's one of those kind of like a James Dean, right, where it's just been played out so much that if you produce it, people are like, oh boy, here's another, that. Like I don't want to put out stale stuff where everybody's like, oh well, this guy done that, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy. I don't really want to do that. That's why I try to make sure somebody hasn't done it before I do it. Hey, New Orleans would be cool. And I hope maybe by the end of the year I can get down there. I even thought about, as far as I talk about random things, um, like not even just like get on Amtrak and see what Amtrak's like. I've never done that. So it's like I know how many of like I don't know if any of y'all have got on an Amtrak, but it's like, let's see what that's like. You are correct. Like I feel like they can feel that. But New Orleans, sorry, I got sidetracked. New Orleans, those cemeteries. What is that? Bonaventure, Bona something, isn't it? Like where Marie Laveau and I think Nicolas Cage has got his tomb right next to her. Those seem like pretty cool places. It seems like a neat little place to do, or at least to just go look at it anyway. I know there's been some people that's done their ghost hunting there. Some of those channels now that have come out as fake, which it's like, yeah, duh. Like you could tell you were a little over the top. Most definitely. Like I'm compile like send me an email. That way I don't forget because I have this. We were talking about this like 30 minutes ago. How I need to start writing stuff down. You're right. Email is in the info thing. Yeah, the flooding is it's legit, and also in Mississippi, I've noticed a lot of that. The further south in Mississippi you go, like with Steve McNair, they have like the vaults like on top, because I guess they can only go so far. They were calling them pressure cookers, which makes sense because it gets hot, right? Okay. See, that's like well, even like what Ghost Adventures and all those type of shows have done the cave and the homestead. I would like to just go to the cave and do a tour just to see it anyway. I think that would be a really cool experience. That's something I think, yeah, John Bell Hood. And so if I'm not mistaken, in Georgia, his hand is buried there. If I'm not mistaken, right? So I think John Bell Hood's in Louisiana, and the no, Steve McNair, he's like in the ground, but they have this weird cover on top of the, you know, he's not like above, but it's like a weird thing. Um, I swear his hand, like, or his arm or something, he lost it in, when they were trying to get to Atlanta. So I think maybe the Battle of Chattanooga, somewhere around in there. And so the hand is there, and after he's buried in New Orleans. So that goes back to one of the like I was talking about earlier. Like I could just go do like, hey, this is where the hand's buried, but I want to do both. And right now there's 3 or 4 different videos like that where instead of just doing one video, I want to do the or doing multiples or like how some will just go do the Leonard Skinner thing, right? They'll go the plane crash, but they don't tell the whole story. They just do the thing. It's like I want to do that with John Bell Hood, if that's the guy. Like I gotta go, I want to go like, well, this is the field that the hand got shot off of, and here's the hand, and then the next part of the video is we're in New Orleans where he's at. Like I just think it would make, better content. It's just you gotta figure out how to put all that together in a timely manner without making it take 6 to 8 months. And the Steve McNair's grave is nice. They did a really good job with that too. Maybe once it starts, I want to say maybe around August, it would be nice to come up there that way because it might be cooler. I don't know because it gets, it's like second layer of hell hot here. Like not the first layer of hell, but like second, like if there's layers in hell, we're like it feels like maybe the second layer of hell sometimes. Hey, that memorial's cool. Like I did go by and look at it. I did like one of those little short things on it, and it is nice. I really liked it, but I didn't want to just make a thing out of that. Like I'd like to go do the whole shebang, right? Like this is where the plane took off from. This is where it crashed. Here they are buried here. That type of stuff. Or at least that's my, goal for all that. But they did do good. There was these 2 kids there. They couldn't have been no more than 18, 20, somewhere in there. And they didn't know the plane crashed there. They thought they just made the memorial or like they put the memorial there. They didn't know. They were like, so the tree it crashed in those woods. Like, yeah, that's why there's a memorial here. Like they didn't just like put this here to put it here. Like they didn't just buy some land and put it there. Like it crashed right back there. And they were like walking over to where, it's a gated fence, so you can't get back to it. And they were having the hardest time believing like the plane had crashed behind the memorial. Like, my goodness. I bet it does get hotter than hell in Kentucky too. The Louisiana's not fun either though. I'm gonna give them and it's not great down that way. South Mississippi, it just gets hot, period. It's like walking into mayonnaise. The humidity's so bad. Like it just hits you. Like it's just thick. You know, you walk out of your house or open a door and it's just there. Just immediately start sweating for no reason. It's that bad. Yeah, those poor kids. They just didn't know. They don't know. All right. I'll check that out. You know, I could believe it. People are crazy. I always heard the conspiracy about Elvis too. Did y'all hear about that? Where they wanted to have Elvis buried at Graceland, but there wasn't you couldn't bury on a property like that. So, obviously his grave was broke into, so they changed the laws. Always that was a conspiracy, or not a conspiracy, but like one of those things that the family, made that happen. Oh, Scott does good stuff too. Like I really enjoy Scott. He seems like a really good dude. Like obviously, all I know is what I watch on TV or on the videos, but he seems like a really good dude. Like he's a whole different level. Like see, he's probably got his stuff in July and August planned out. Like I'm not that good of a person. I'm still fly by the seat of my pants, which I shouldn't be. You would think I would be so organized and nope. I'm still just as bad as I was before this. Yeah, he seems like a great dude. He seems like authentic, right? Like just real. Like no BS about him. Like it seems like if he tried to phone it in, you would know. Yeah, there's a couple of I say a couple because it's like you only get suggested. It's weird on YouTube, like how um like I haven't seen her comment in a while, but like Grave Tales. She makes great videos, right? She's at 200 subscribers. And it's like I've been a champion of her channel since I don't know, like she could tell you. But it just like I don't know how to help somebody break out. Um it's a bummer. I saw where didn't they bury him on Graceland too? Sorry for the tangent, but I thought they put his grandson there too. But it's like we all know those 5 or 6 large names that we can all reference. We've talked about them through this whole thing. But as far as like smaller channels, it seems like that's the tough, like just breaking through. You know, I have family up that way, and I hope to go up there this year just to visit them. And while I'm up there, there's so much stuff everywhere. That's the thing. It's like the more I dig, the more I get overwhelmed with all the things to do. And it's like really like what I publish is just like it's like I'm like, okay, well, I can at least do this. And then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do that. But it's like there's so much. Like that's why I did those few travel videos. Because some things don't seem like they're like a video worthy, right? They don't need their own thing, but putting them in to go to a thing, it's just I got to figure out which ones I want to designate in the video and not the main part of the video. Oh, okay, he's above ground. I got you. Yeah, but there's so much to do, especially like in Detroit, like Michigan. The whole car industry and Motown and just all of that and the fur trading. I mean, it was a fur trader. I mean, their largest export now is sod. Kids. Yeah, it's yeah, and just like with Illinois, like just the whole, just all these states, Kentucky and Tennessee and Georgia, like there's just so much. Yeah, I really try to keep it southern because I'm proud of my roots, right? Like I want to keep it in house, like within like I guess, Mason Dixon line, right? But I mean, there's a big world out there, so I think it's okay to branch out. But I really want to show like we're not as bad as people think we are. That's really one of my goals at the end of the day. So if they watch my redneck, but and they're like, well, he's country, but he does all right. Like, if I can at least change one opinion of somebody, then I'm doing good. Like, I feel like, we get a bad rap. And so I just want to change the rap, right? And make good content. Because it doesn't seem, like it's almost, we have a big black eye down here and we know what it's about. And like, that sucks, but there's so many other cool things that we can talk about besides that, you know? And it's a bummer and it'll never go away and we'll never get rid of it. But also, we got to talk about something else, Like, there's all kinds of cool things in all of these states. And that's my goal. I want to showcase because I just went to Dallas for like a day. And it's like there's all of Texas and there's still so much Mississippi. I haven't even done a thing in Louisiana yet or Florida, which Florida Southern, I don't really know. But as far as the Alabama, Georgia, Carolinas, and then up in the Virginias, and there's just so much of that I really, I don't know if it gets enough attention like it should. And that's kind of what, yeah, I'm trying to do. And just take it away too from the like not just the grapes, like I was saying earlier, but all the other random, beautiful things that we have here, as far as nature and just everything that goes with it. Like, it's a beautiful part of the country. And people need to, I want to bring that to them and show them a little bit of it and show them it's not so scary and we're not so bad. We don't all wear overalls. I mean, we might eat cornbread every day, but we don't wear overalls every day. I do gotta say I like this company. I am a fan. How I can show the comments. I really like this. Listen, if my family is so tired of me talking about that. I just watched Traveling Robert, which I don't some of you may know. He's a larger YouTuber. He just did that. He had a little two-part video where he just traveled that. And I've talked about that ad nauseum about how I want to do that and the Blues Highway, all up the Delta, right? And I'm sure they're as tired of me talking about it as me wanting to go do it. So really, I've got all that ready. Like, it's prepped, but I just got to go do it. And they're probably tired of me talking about it. So yeah, the Natchez. And then like Natchez itself could be its whole I mean, Natchez it looks like a beautiful town. But I think there is one part you can't drive on I think the Alabama section is the closed section. Or it was the last time I looked. I've drove a little bit of it. There's one video from July of last year, June, July, August, somewhere in there, where I drove a little bit of it, and there's these unmarked graves, and I went over to the Bryce Crossroads, the battlefield, and all that. So I've only drove about, I don't know, 10, 15 miles of it, but I really like what I saw. I drove under the bridge up in Nashville to go to Minnie Pearl's grave. There's, it's got this huge, beautiful bridge. It's a really nice road. It's a 2-lane road. You can't have any commercial trucks. I think that's a really good road. And then there's the Blues Highway. You've got the whole, and that comes into the Robert Johnson thing. With it's like, is that too played out? Like, I'm worried that, like, I don't want to, like, I feel like I could present it in a way that is entertaining, but at the same time, I just don't want to rehash because I feel like everybody does that. Yeah, and you're talking about the military stuff. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, that stuff. Well, what we do know is powerful, right? They're out in New Mexico where they dropped the first bomb. Like, you can go there twice a year. And I just was reading up on that April and somewhere in October, November. And so I think we either, if we don't do that by the end of this year, then this time next year, I got to do that. Like, we got to go see that. I mean, you can only go there twice a year, and you can go out and like touch the monument. Like, that would be really neat. You know, I'm too cheap. I would like I would like to, you know, I like the being able to do the whole I like it. But man, they want an arm and a leg for this stuff. Like, if you want the 1080p one and all that, like, gosh, man. Which I get it, you know. Hey, it's America, right? You got to be a capitalist, make that money. Because you can get the duct removed, because that's the big thing. You can get rid of that. Yeah, Lewis is buried not too far from there. Yeah, which that's a whole. They don't know if he was murdered or if he committed suicide. They'll never know that. Well, and Clark is really not too far from there either. He's up in St. Louis somewhere or around that area. So that's one of those, like, yeah, I could go do Lewis, but it's like, well, yeah, heck, if I'm gonna go do Lewis, I might as well go do Clark. Like, let's just go ahead and drive on up to St. Louis while we're at it, and let's get them both in one video and tell the tale. Like, it's sad that some people may not know the history of that and what those two guys did with all the stuff that, getting over there, which was more river than land, but still, they had to go through nothing, just woods. They had guides and they had to help, but still, that's not an easy feat. Like, I couldn't imagine doing that. Like, if the federal government was like, "Oh yeah, hey, by the way, we're going to start here, and you got to go that way through those trees till you run out of it, till you hit water." Like, I wouldn't know where to go. Like, that to me is amazing. Like, I keep plugging it. Like, next week, the bodyguard for George Washington, he was 19 when they told him to be the lifeguard, is what they called it, like, for George Washington. Like, that poor guy was 19 years old guarding George Washington, and then at the end of it, he still caught hell trying to get his pension. It was like 20 years after the war before he got his pension because they didn't think he did enough. Yep. Yeah, that whole story is sad. I agree. But it is one of those things, right? See, it goes back to, like, there's so much to do, right? Like, you've got like the Polk stuff and Jackson and just so much of early American history in Tennessee and in Georgia and stuff like that. I mean, even here in Alabama where I live, like we were talking earlier about the War of 1812. Like, we could have lost independence. Like, if we hadn't have won the Battle of New Orleans, I mean, we could be drinking tea and eating fish and chips again. It was that close. I mean, they burned the White House. So, but it is 7 o'clock on the phone, on the laptop. So I got to end it. Got to get ready for bed. Get baths. You got to get the kids bathed, right? Oh, the Dixie Mafia. Oh my God. I don't even know. Okay. So like that goes back to Buford, right? Like there's so much. Well, even like there's so much with that, but I don't even know if you want to get into that. That just seems like a very dangerous subject. Hey, Joe, we'll see you next week, hopefully, right? Fingers crossed. I probably won't be here at the house. I'll probably be somewhere in South Mississippi. I hope. Oh yeah, the they the government. I mean, that's Robert E. Lee's land. You got to love it, right? Like, yeah, it was pretty good. I got to give them. You know, that's some pretty good stuff what they did. But yeah, I got to go. And I hate to like just dash and run, but it is that time, right? Maybe next Sunday we can. I don't know what time I'm leaving. My dad and I were going to South Mississippi. Well, we're going to Louisiana, I think. No, hold on. Let me find. I can't remember the name of that town. Let me look it up. I don't want to lie. It is. It'll be around Gulfport. That's where we're going. Yeah, the whole thing with Buford, man, that was a mess. Like what I put out was just, I don't want to do nothing. Mm-mm. There's too many connections. Like the Dixie Mafia runs deep, and I don't want to mess that up. Like I know enough to know that I don't want to know, right? It's one of those you just don't talk about it. Like the crazy person in your family, everybody knows they're crazy, but you don't want to talk about it. Dixie Mafia is like that. They do bad things. Well, maybe they're probably not bad to them anyway, right? It's bad to the person that it happens to. How about that? So yeah, we're signing off. I gotta go. This has been great. You guys are awesome. You really are. Thanks for the super chat. It's freaking awesome. Like you ain't gotta do that. Like I'm glad I get to put out videos that you guys enjoy. Like that's really I mean, that's the best thing ever. It honestly is. Like when I say at the end of the videos, like how much I appreciate it. Like you guys, like you really don't understand. Hey, it's all good, Vicky. Don't worry about it. Like sometimes, things happen, right? Like I really do appreciate it. Like you just don't know. Like it really means the world. Like legit. Like you guys are awesome. And you drive the channel. That's why I try to do this. Like I want to check in, like a state of the union, right? Like let's see where we're at with the channel. Hope everybody's doing well. Because it's mostly all, like mostly the same people. There's some that don't comment, but I'll talk to you guys at least on a weekly basis now, or I'm trying to anyway. It's awesome. Like we have like a little community. It's the coolest thing ever. But yeah, I'd like to the people that sent the emails, thank you. So yeah, I guess next week maybe I'll be around Gulfport. I don't even know what time it might be. It might be later than thank you, Vicky. I would like to say that, with a comment like that, if I was cocky, I would say I know I am. But I'm not that kind of person, and I have a hard time believing that stuff. Like I don't drink the Kool-Aid. Like I feel like I'm harder on me than, the person's harder on themselves. So hopefully I gotta square away what time I'm leaving Sunday. So hopefully around Gulfport somewhere, God knows what it's gonna be like. I hope I have service, maybe Wi-Fi. Who knows? But we'll get through it, right? Like we've been through worse. And maybe if I'm not, um, maybe if I'm stuck in traffic or something, I'll just pull the phone out and I'll just live stream from the car. I mean, we'll do whatever, but I'm gonna try to do it Sunday sometime. So thank you guys, and I'll see you next week or next Sunday. Have a good week. Tell somebody you love them. That's the big thing. Make somebody feel good. Make somebody smile. You never know what you can do just by telling somebody how awesome they are. Like Vicky did. Like it made me smile, and it didn't take nothing. You just typed a few words and you got a smile. So just tell them. Tell somebody you love them. Make somebody smile. That's all I ask. Just pass it along, right? Thank you, guys. I mean, I'll see you next week anyway. So talk to you later.